Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, so that they may come into the land of Egypt and eat every plant in the land, all that the hail has left." So Moses stretched out his staff over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought up an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. When it was morning, the east wind had brought up the locusts. The locusts came up all over the land of Egypt and settled on the whole country of Egypt. Such a dense swarm of locusts as had never been seen before, nor ever will be seen again. They covered the face of the whole land, so that the land was darkened, and they ate all the plants in the land, and all the fruit of the trees that the hail had left. Not a green thing remained, neither tree nor plant of the field throughout the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh hastily called upon Moses and Aaron and said, "I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now, therefore, forgive my sin, please, only this once, and plead with the Lord your God only to remove this death from me." So he went out from Pharaoh and pleaded with the Lord, and the Lord turned the wind into a very strong west wind, which lifted the rocks and drove them into the Red Sea. Not a single locust was left in the country of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the people of Israel go.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to Live from the Hive. Good morning, Vandalia. Actually, it's kind of funny because we have more people in here now than we did when the other stream crashed. It wasn't anything anybody did. It wasn't anything that in my OBS either. Well, I mean, it was, but only to the extent that my internet buggered off for about 45 seconds, just long enough to make it so it couldn't reconnect the stream. But ironically, it was a good time for it to crash because it was right after the ending and right before the beginning of this. And, you know, as far as Live from the Hive goes, in and of itself, its rewatch value is only if you want to watch the whole show from start to finish. Otherwise, yeah, these segments are released in the coming weeks for your enjoyment, all cut up. So it didn't actually hurt anything. I don't have to splice two videos together to make my segments even. And as a matter of fact, that makes that video, so I just have to cut it down to CryptoCorner. So not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Thank you guys for coming back, though. I'm so glad that you came back in. I did try to reconnect. Yeah, and I was editing what I was doing. I went to during intermission. I went to the bathroom. Went to refresh my coffee. Went and loaded up a bowl and was going to smoke that to get ready for the search for the Garden of Eden, because we have a lot of stuff ahead for that. But most importantly, we have. Does it smell like ham in here? Because I think it smells like ham in here. But we'll see when we break that out. In Creation Watch today, we're actually we're hunting for the Garden of Eden, and yeah, Bugbot is live, Vandalia. I know you're a fan of Bugbot, so sting away, swat away. I also added spray. Bugbot doesn't interact with anybody when you spray him, though. He just does this. Let me show you. Because the reason I have him doing this is actually because I want to make clear that in controlled environments, insect spray is fine. When you get outdoors, though, you need to be careful where you're spraying that. You can wreck the ecology of your garden by being frivolous with your insect spray. And there is an instinct to take down like wasp nests and things like that. Don't. They just don't. Because so here's my rule. If the wasp nest is in a area where there's human trafficking, or I don't want to say human trafficking, where humans traffic heavily, and they come within, by moving to that area, they come within 24 inches or 60 centimeters of the wasp nest that needs to be removed, just to prevent stings and things like that. So, especially when there's children in the area. Now, if it's in the backside of your shed awning, if it's on your house awning, if it's in a windowsill, if it's anywhere that's out of the way, leave it alone, because those wasps protect your garden. Say you have like tomato plants and things like that. What do you think eats those tomato plants? It's these worms, these caterpillars, if you will, hornworms and things like that. Tomato hornworms. Every plant has some kind of predaceous insect that's either eating it in their larval or even their adult forms. And the wasp, a lot of species of wasp, eat the caterpillars and the larvae and even the adult insects, or take them home and feed them to their offspring. So just don't. And that's my spray bug bot rant for today. We will get into between the Tigris and the Euphrates. We're talking about that too. These guys have a lot of interesting thoughts on that. So hang in there, Ring. And we're going to get started right now. All right. Keeps going to this one. There we go. All right, so this is an article on Stage Space. Says satellites discover biblical Garden of Eden. Okay, from 2017. This is where we're going to jump into things that it stung myself. Yes, we're talking about the Garden of Eden. And that's another thing that I will be breaking down. Like I just talked about with the insectoid aliens, I was going to go through those lists of different alien species. When I'm not every week on CryptoCorner will I be doing that. Some weeks I'm going to just do other topics. I'm not going straight through a big list of aliens. That would get boring. But sprinkling them in will be fun. And I'm going to do the same thing with, I'm going to start doing the same thing with different artifacts, different, and I call them sorcerers, just because, that's in mythology, that's the class that they'd fall into. Figures, I guess, biblical figures with mystical origins and things like that. Monsters, going over individual apologetic videos about them and about the magic and stuff, and we're going to break that down. So we may do it through the plagues of Egypt. We're doing the Garden of Eden right now. We may do the Sheol at some point. We may do, obviously, we can do different areas of the Holy Land where certain things have happened. Ron White is going to be a figure that pops up in these tales quite frequently, unfortunately. We may do, I was looking into doing the parting of the Red Sea, because there's some pillars and stuff that they make claims about. So that's probably coming up. That actually might be next week on Creation Watch. Not reformatting the show. It'll still be where I focus just on a specific video of that some apologists put out, but I'd also like to kind of mix things up and talk about just some different creationist topics as well, that kind of link into the biblical narrative, some of the supernatural stuff from the Bible, basically, and we're going to explore the concepts and kind of debunk it. We'll look at how some of the themes come up in different mythologies, and starting with the Garden of Eden is perfect because in most Abrahamic beliefs, they do have a literalist belief that Adam and Eve were the first humans. So this is the starting point for that most Abrahamic faiths will agree on. And from here, they kind of branch off in different directions and how things went and how things evolved. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to read a little bit about this, and this is just the first of many claims that we'll probably go over regarding the Garden of Eden. No, actually, I don't have too many. Just a few. We may pull up some more because there's other stuff that other content creators that are putting stuff out about this. I tried to find the most recent ones though, because I want to do stuff from like 2008 and things like that. But there's been a lot of claims that people finding the Garden of Eden in every place from the North Pole to Kansas City, Missouri to the lost city of Atlantis. Excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. I hate making you all listen to me drink. I should mute. Like that. Because I'm a noisy drinker, especially when it comes to slurping down my coffee. Because I need that extra burst of energy. But yeah, Ring is right about between the Tigris and the Euphrates, as the Bible states, right? That indicates that this was the location. But there's apologetics for that, and we're gonna dip our toes in those apologetics a bit. Yeah, we're also we will talk about the dome or the firmament. We will, Godseed. So. We're going to talk about what's outside of it and what's inside of it. Not today. That's not today's topic. Today we're talking specifically about the garden. And yeah, and the reason I keep saying that everybody agrees, at least that this is the starting point, is because not everybody that follows Abrahamic faith does. Madsonism, as proposed by my friend Richard Madsen, he gets a kick out of me calling it that. That's what it is. It's Madsonism. It's an ancient alien belief system that links up a bunch of religions, but in his belief system, it follows an Abrahamic framework too. But it does not necessarily give this type of origins to the Garden of Eden story, is what we're going to cover here. And that it was like a place. He doesn't believe that it was a place physically on Earth. Okay, so I'll read a little bit of this, and then we'll watch their videos. They have this really weird balance on their video lengths, though. Look at this one's 2 minutes and 33 seconds, part 1. Part 2 is 27 minutes and 42 seconds. So there's different ways you can cut your videos, pal. Make it more balanced. I try to do that anyway. I mean, it's not always perfect, but I don't have part 1 at less than 5 minutes and then part 2 at almost a half an hour. Anyway, satellites discover biblical Garden of Eden. In 2017, I became certain that I discovered the location of the Garden of Eden. Unsurprisingly, I never intended to find the Garden of Eden, although my interests are broad and varied, including archaeology, religion, mythology, international politics, and ancient culture. My main focus has always been on space and aerospace-related technology. Indeed, the entire site is dedicated to my unwavering ambition to build a Belgian space launch capability, and I spent decades of my life to this personal ambition. But here we are. I found something I was not looking for, serendipitously, in a crater in the desert mountain massive in, let's see, how do you say this? Tibesti mountain range? Yeah. In the Republic of Chad on the African continent. Below, you will find a link to a video with satellite imagery. It took me a couple of years to decide who I really wanted to be the person who reveals the location in modern times, maybe becoming a pariah in the process. But I have come to the conclusion that it is necessary to share this knowledge and not hide it. This location is the common inheritance of all mankind. We were all destined to return to the garden and the tree of life. But how did this happen? After a stroke of insight that came to me during a dream in that fateful winter night of 2017, memories left behind from reading ancient text, pictography, and architecture suddenly clicked together. So we're getting like kind of Lovecraftian here. It came to me in a dream. Reading ancient text and pictography. I imagine if you spend a lot of time combing through that stuff and believing that there's some supernatural origin. Chad is hot, dry desert. Yes, it is. Let's see, where was I? Click together. Okay, I woke up, felt shocked, and this feeling made me believe that a pattern I suddenly remembered made sense in some way, although I had no idea at the time how precisely. Like a proverbial scientist following a hunch, a hypothesis took shape. In the same manner that Henry Schliemann, sorry, Henry, I don't mean to mispronounce your last name, discovered the mythical city of Troy, I hypothesized that the ancients had encoded a message in their text, art and monumental architecture. Simple to decode for the average person, if only we were brave enough to read those expressions of art for what they are, clues to be taken literally, not merely metaphorically, breadcrumbs of a trail with a destination. Okay, so yeah, that Schliemann guy, I don't know how to pronounce that, but he's the one who, I guess, discovered the remains of Troy that previously had been thought to be mythological. Let me pop over to the chat here and see what's going on. Hey, yeah, I told Blessed to come on over and we'd watch this. He'd enjoy this topic. Yeah, Vandalia says, we got to be careful. If we find it and eat the immortal fruit, then we will start to go all Highlander and start cutting people's heads off with swords. Yeah, would swords be the method used? I bet in modern day, if Highlander was a real thing, it would probably use guns. You'd probably gun down your enemy and then go cut their head off while they were down. That'd be my speculation, because like when he got wounded, and I go by the first Highlander lore, when he got wounded in the battle, he was down for a couple of days before he woke back up. So I imagine taking a couple of blasts from a shotgun to the chest would probably put you down long enough for your enemy to just cut your head right off. I think one of the more modern Highlander movies actually had a character who did that. But I may be misremembering. Anyway, back to the story. Yeah, we just got a couple more paragraphs. Following up on these hunches with further research, I was finally able to form hypothesis. I turned to modern technology to test the idea that these odd patterns I found were indeed clues. Eventually, by trial and error, peering over satellite images and following ancient instruction, I found what has remained hidden from public eye for thousands of years, an earlier generation of the ancient Egyptian civilization, a natural prototype for Egyptian pyramids at Giza, causeways in the mysterious Sphinx, but also, even more unexpectedly, the location of the biblical Garden of Eden. So that's exciting, right? We're excited. Garden of Eden. I'm excited about it anyhow. But let's go on. Amazingly, the earliest chapters of the Bible are well based in reality. They are not merely the written down remnant of an oral tradition, they are a description of what people observe in their immediate surroundings thousands of years ago. The earliest part of the Bible, the earliest parts of the Bible, not just a single part, the earliest parts of the Bible, I think the earliest part of the Bible is Job, though, right? I got my Bible nerds in the side chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. Regios, it's good to see you. Yeah. Job, I believe, is the earliest book of the Bible. The earliest parts of the Bible are not metaphors, but contain literal truth to be seen and not just believed. In this world where postmodernists believe that everything is just narrative, truth does not exist or is inaccessible. Discovering that our most ancient narrations are based in the dirt of reality and as such convey an accessible truth is a welcome breath of fresh air. I don't know about that. Then there's just people wanting to, there has to be meaning. There has to be a meaning, right? This has to mean something. Sorry, that's not the way reality works. So, when people ask about the cosmos and ask me, where did everything come from? What's the prime mover, right? So the cosmos is how it creates universes. And if we're recycled from a previous universe, if we're energy from multiple different universes merged into one to create ours within the cosmos, I don't know. That's beyond my ken, and I'm not trying to be dismissive about that kind of claim, right? I'm okay saying that. I don't know, but to have a need for there to be a meaning behind it, not just the inevitability that as the cosmos generates universes, that inevitably it's going to generate a universe with life. Just it's not is a 100% chance of it with infinite alterations to the material makeup of the universes that are created. Eventually there's going to be one with life. Sorry about the tangent. I did get into this conversation over on Leo Felius's channel, and I need to give Leo a command too. I almost forgot to do Leo. I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, yeah, let's see what their video says. We're gonna watch this little 2-minute one first, and then we'll watch the longer one. All right, so. Let me know how the volume is on this one too. Some banjo there and guitar. Maybe it was just a guitar.
Finding the Garden of Eden, the memory of which is preserved in all religions. Chapter 1. Why do we bring the garden to light? Lost for thousands of years, remembered for thousands of years, we believe it is important to restore the knowledge of the location of the Garden of Eden.
I don't know, he's really quiet to me. I'm going to turn him up a little bit.
Its location. But humanity started to believe the garden is myth. Many will say that it is wiser to leave it in obscurity, for wicked man may wish.
Yeah, I'm going to restart it. that's better. His video is really quiet too, so.
Finding the Garden of Eden, the memory of which is preserved in all religions. Chapter 1. Why do we bring the garden to light? Lost for thousands of years, remembered for thousands of years, we believe it is important
It's
to restore
maxed.
the knowledge of the location of the
That's
garden.
as loud as I can get him to go.
Religions worldwide have preserved the keys to trace back its location, but humanity started to believe the garden is myth. Many will say that it is wiser to leave it in obscurity, for wicked men may wish to destroy it. We chose, however, to reveal its location, so man may remember that religion has an important message. Remember, man, woman, your ancestors. Remember your unity, and be aware of the cosmic cycles of destruction. How can we solve the rift between religion and science, between hearts and minds? Skeptics believe oral histories encapsulated within religion and their books are mere unreliable fantasies from the Stone Age. Fundamentalist zealots abuse the voice of our ancestors for their misplaced utopian ideals. The Garden of Eden, however, belongs not to Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, because all other religions and traditions also possess the keys to its location. The garden has always been the inheritance of us all. Science is now actively investigating if there is something as a genetic atom.
Oh.
The first couple we
So, a genetic atom. It's talking about Y chromosomal atom, right? That's the representative of a genetic bottleneck in our human history, right? It's not actually Adam from the Garden of Eden. It's the common male ancestor that we all share. It's not an actual real individual that was the first human ever made. That's not how that works. Adam was part of a population. Mitochondrial Eve was part of a population. They're separated by about 10,000 years, I believe. But they are the last common male and female ancestor that we all share. I believe, yeah. And Eve was, correct me if I'm wrong, I know I got some brilliant people out here. Eve was before Adam in that structure, or what they call Y chromosome Noah, right? Because they talk about Adam here, we should actually be able to trace all our genetic ancestry back to Noah, not Adam, because there was genetic diversity before Noah that didn't get passed on, right? Anyway.
all descended from. The Garden of Eden, we will see, remembers Adam and Eve. The landscape we will find dates from before Babel, the time of confusion, and it dates back to the first episode in the Old Testament before the transition to...
So with Babel, right, the time of confusion, when we refer to that, I guess that it wasn't just confusing the language, was it confusing the histories too? Because shouldn't parts of the Bible, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe the whole Old Testament was supposed to be revealed to Noah, but I thought parts of it were written by other prophets. Anyway, yeah, let's go right along here.
Monotheism. That is why the Garden of Eden is situated in a landscape filled with references to multiple religions. We are asked to leave these places intact, preserve the knowledge they hold, and learn from it. That is why all world religions remain vague about its location.
Sorry about that. Ian just needed to talk to me for a minute. Let's go back. All right, and then see, we have How did I discover the Garden of Eden? But for those who want direct proof of the relation between the world and of the Bible and this site in Africa, here is also a video proving that what we have found is, or what we have indeed found, Adam and Eve. Oh, yeah, let's go into this one now. I don't know why I closed that like that. My mouse is being weird.
7 and 8 of the King James translation. We read in verse 7, "And the Lord God formed man of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." 8. "And the Lord God planted the garden eastward in Eden, and there he put man who he had formed." So in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, we read, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his..."
You think you came from a rock, but can't you think you came from dust? Which sounds crazier to you.
"Nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." When we look at the formation here in the crater, we see a large face to the right of the crater, to the east. This is Adam.
Large face of a creator. It's Adam? Like, is Adam a giant? We see a large face to the right. This is Adam. Left, we see a large cloud of dust in front of the face of Adam. It has the shape of a cloud of misty breath. So, okay, let's break this down. So this is Adam's face. I guess this is his Adam's apple. It's right here. And it just fades off. And then these mountain ranges in the shape of a cloud. You know, because clouds have that distinct shape that you can say, hey, this is shaped like a cloud. All right?
To the left, we see something that looks like a large cloud of dust, which sits and rests in front of the face of Adam. Indeed, one could say it has the shape of a cloud of misty breath. And that breath looks as if it has just been exhaled by Adam, or is being inhaled through his nostril.
We'll say this is double inception here, because it's a cloud that looks like, it's a mountain range that looks like a cloud that looks like a breath. So it's triply deep. And I didn't know pareidolia was going to feature in today's show. Let's keep going.
Adam means mankind, and indeed here on the floor of the crater we see mankind's first breath. Now, take a good moment to think about this. This entire scene measures more than 5 kilometers in breadth. So this entire formation on the ground is colossal. It is really, really massive. It cannot be built simply by human hands.
Because it's not a sculpture. It's just natural formations that you are engaging in pareidolia with. I want to see where that was on the map again. Just a second.
This entire formation on the ground is colossal. It is really, really massive.
Yeah. Switch over to
it cannot be.
Okay, so because I'm going to bring up my Google Earth here. Just a second, and we're going to look into it. I love doing some live sleuthing here with you guys, so this will be fun. So let's go North Africa. We're going to switch it to satellite. He's up in this area, right? Let's flip back over here. I wish I didn't have the stupid pop-up bar that comes down at the bottom. So there's the sand, sea of sand.
Built simply
Down south of Libya. We're honing in, so we're going to be down here. Let's keep the borders in view.
by human hands or
to the City Mountains. There we are. Y'all get to watch me in action. I think that's this mountain range here, right? Does it tell us when we zoom out? Let's look at their landmarks.
we must indeed have spent the time with a large population of people to build this formation that measures 5 kilometers in diameter. But the entire formation on the ground is colossal. It is really, really massive.
See this again.
It cannot be built simply by human hands or...
Damn, I'm trying to... Here, I'm going to mute him while I do this because I don't make y'all have to keep listening to him say that over and over again. I'm trying to find the location he's in. So, yes, enjoy watching. Let's slow this down. That's what we're going to do. Does it give me the option to slow it down on this player? No. Okay. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to type in is that how it was spelled? There we go. Okay. So I think this is the formation he's looking at, right? So here's the crater. So this area of Africa is riddled with these craters. See, here's one. Here's a crater right there. There's a crater right there. And the City Mountains center on this crater right here. So do we need to rotate it? Where is Adam? Does he have the coordinates? Let's see. Does he include the coordinates there, buddy? Can we hide this? You're in my way, dude. Can we hide the freaking menu bar here? Because then I have to keep playing it over and over again. Zoom it out just... Oh, seeing that happen so fast. Alright, so there's the City. And we're zooming in. Keep going back and forth. This is really what I do, like when I used to research this stuff pretty regularly. Let's see. So we're way over here. Yeah, down right there. Okay. See, I see where his circle is. And we're going to zoom in on that circle. There's Mont 2 side. I think that one appears in his satellite image here when we zoom in. Oh, now we've moved over to this place right here. Why doesn't he just type in the coordinates and just go to it? Makes this so much easier. It's an XY axis. It's easy to do. Do coordinates, people. Now, honestly, if I was to create coordinates myself, I probably would have done it differently with the way that it's numbered. It would have been from, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to go into that right now. It doesn't give any landmarks when he zooms in, though. That's the problem. And then this stupid pop-up bar. Hey, I might have a solution for that. Just a second. What if we pull this out to YouTube and watch it there? No pop-up bar now. Ooh, and we got the coordinates down there at the bottom, too. Sweet! Let's do this. All right. Just a second back here, so we're going to go back to right. I don't let them get away with that. You know me, Regios. I pull out my maps and go down in Street View and hold their feet to the fire. All right. Okay, so we got coordinates. We've got the coordinates, kids. Let me see. We got 20, 35, 11, north, and 17, 26.20, east. All right, so now all I have to do is key that in. Go to maps. Am I keying it in wrong? 20 degrees, 17. Is that 170? Let's try that. All right, we're getting somewhere now. All right, just a second here. Okay, so we have the coordinates, kids. Let's see. Do we have to rotate it or something? I'm not even seeing. Oh, okay. Maybe there it is. Okay, so it's this right here. He was clicked down there, but here it is. So Tarsa Yiga. Let's find out what Tarsa Yiga is. You guys want to? Let's see. Tarsa Yiga. It has a Wikipedia article. Let's see what that says. Okay, Tarso-Yiga is a stratovolcano in Tibet, with a summit caldera that is 19 by 20 kilometers wide and 900, and it was just 12 miles by 12 miles wide and 300 meters or 980 foot deep. The summit of the volcano reaches a height of 2,972 meters. That's 9,751 feet. And its caldera is the largest caldera in the Tibesti. I think it's Tibesti. I think I was saying it wrong earlier. Neighboring volcanoes include blah, 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 blah. The Eerie Yega River drains the caldera westward and then south before joining the Eerie Debarsars. I'm having a terrible time with these words. Sorry, kids. In the past, the river reached Lake Chad within the Holocene. Okay, the history, blah, da, 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 da. Humans have used the caldera for irrigation and agriculture. Yeah. But nothing about it being a giant sculpture of Adam. And I do see that looking at it on this gives us more perspective on what he's trying to claim is a sculpture of a face, especially when you zoom in on it. I don't know, I guess is this supposed to be his mustache? Because if this is his nose, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what this, because I get like from far away, you can see it just the way that the shadows fall on it, that it's like a face but when you zoom in, it loses that. I'm guessing this is supposed to be his tiny eye, and then his big nose, and then a mustache, and then there's the upper lip, mouth open all the way, bottom lip down here. Really, for being the ultimate Chad of Chad, Adam has a weak chin, because from his bottom lip to his chin is just this distance right here, but his nose is like that, and his mouth opens like this. Unless he just had the ability to open his mouth huge, then his chin is quite tiny. And then, of course, here's where the Adam's apple is. And as you see, this stuff is just defined by the way the light's hitting it. With the light hitting it at a different angle, without these particular ridges being defined, this wouldn't stand out quite as much. This frame here that starts up here and goes down. That's what you're going to do when you look at these mud fossil clowns. And I say clowns, I'm not trying to be mean. Yeah, the Adam's apple of Adam, the Chad of Chad. I'm not trying to be mean, but this is ridiculous. These mud fossil people that look at mountain ranges and say that this is the remains of a dragon that was the size of a continent. What does a dragon the size of a continent do? It'd be like having a like a pet lizard, for instance, with suction cups on its fingers and then suspending a beach ball, or putting a beach ball on one of those fans that blow it up in like the tube, and having the salamander, or not salamander, the lizard try to crawl around and live on that. That's what it would be like for a continent-sized dragon crawling around on the surface of the earth. It would crawl all over the place and stomp all over everything. Its movement would actually interfere with the way the Earth rotates and orbits. It would just, the mechanics of it would be awful. It would not be a sustainable situation for that organism to live in. Oh my gosh, we got Reverb Twang, we got the one and only Dick Dawson. Hey babe, it's good to see ya. We're looking at, if you're just dropping in, we have this mountain range is supposed to be a sculpture of Adam. Or is it supposed to be Yahweh blowing breath. I don't know, but this is the mountain or the volcano is Tarso Yiga that created this, and it's also carved by a little river. So between volcanic activity and drainage, this is a drainage area, and it even mentioned that the drainage was used for agriculture. That drainage used to drain into Lake Chad, which is hella far away. Where's Lake Chad at? I would figure it'd be on the map from this far away. Yeah, but we're in the middle of the Sahara. Just keep that in mind too. This was an ancient volcano. So did I lose my spot? Eek! I did. It's all right. We can plug that right back in again. Nope, that was his bad coordinates, wasn't it? Yeah, here it is. We're back. Anyway, I keep losing it. Yeah, so he's got some cheekbones right here. Right? Some cheekbones. And I guess this is his neck veins. Look at those neck veins. And he's got hair. These craggy peaks are obviously the remains of a giant sculpture. Let's get back to the video, though. Now that we know where we're looking at and where this silliness finds its origins, let's continue on.
Which signifies enclosed garden. And what better than a volcano crater to create an encircled garden? Because the crater walls we see...
Because that's kind of the truth about it, right? That's the long and short about Yahweh, as he started off as kind of like a volcano god, right? And lots of volcanoes in this area of North Africa.
In the image, and we'll see it better in other video footage, is about 300 meters high. So it encircles this plateau in the middle at the bottom. And on that bottom of the crater is this image of Adam. So Gan Eden signifies enclosed garden. An enclosed garden is shaped by the formation, the rim of the crater.
It's a volcano, like we just talked about. This was a volcano. Putting the Garden of Eden inside a giant volcano, that does sound like something Yahweh would do. Is that Germania I see out there? About time you showed up. I was about to issue a citation.
Adam lies safely within the walls of this crater. So the picture we get in verse 8 of chapter 2 in Genesis is entirely correct.
Uh-huh. Let's take it to those 4 rivers, babe, because that's the main things that give us the definitive
slide 7.
Location. Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
In Genesis chapter 2, verse 9, King James, we read, "And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil."
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the crater, and especially the crater walls, we see that they have streams of water running off of them. These streams form patterns on the ground, branching together in larger streams in the middle of the garden. And together...
What? Streams of water run from the edge of a crater down into the middle and form a... Oh, wow. That's so unique.
They form the branches of the trees in Eden. This is very clear, and we have several trees being formed.
So the claim now is that branching rivers look like trees because trees in the garden? I think all branching river systems look like trees when you look at them on a satellite map. Because they'll come, and especially when it's a colored map where it's moving down into, because when you get down to the delta area and things get all green, then it looks like, well, not always upside down, depending on if the rivers are, which direction the rivers are flowing and which direction you're looking at them from. They'll look like trees. And roots too. Mm-hmm.
Notice the many tree-like branches. The reason they exist is because of the pluvial activity of the streams interacting with the crater walls and the dust of the crater. These patterns are truly beautiful, and to anybody standing on the rim of the crater, they would indeed look as trees.
Prove it.
We now go to the rivers of Genesis.
So, I think inside of any crater would look like this.
When we go a little bit further in Genesis 2.
1 second. Sorry, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Just a kid popping in for information.
There is a description of the rivers of Eden.
Right, that's
and
important.
They have been located all around the world. You have popular theories that put them in Mesopotamia, current Iraq.
Popular theories like the fact that the Tigris and the Euphrates are in Mesopotamia.
Where they should have flowed into the Gulf Stream. This is a theory that is very well made, because we also encounter biblical names in that area that could refer to the ancient rivers of Eden. But also more to the north of Mesopotamia, we again have a valley where we see names returning that sound like Pison and Gihon. So there also one might be inclined that we are dealing with the rivers of Eden. But there is a problem with this idea, because people who emigrate from their country often take the memories of the locations they grew up in with them. And it is very common for people to arrive in a place, settle there, and give the same location names to that new location they find themselves in. So we get contamination of location names and the diffusionism of the same name on different locations on Earth. So we have to be very careful here, and also in what I'm going to explain, that I have an idea or a hypothesis that we are looking at an earlier generation of these names, but still I find clues on the ground. So I will share it here and you can make up your own mind. So read in Genesis chapter 2 verses 10 to 14. And the river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads.
Rivers don't do this either, generally speaking. I mean, I guess what it's talking about is like a delta system, maybe. So it would to me, that would tell me that it was close to the sea, not in a volcano.
The name of the first is Pison, that is it, which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good, there is bdellium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon, the same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel, that is it, which goeth toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. What? How can this be? We see all these names referring to Ethiopia, to the Euphrates, to Assyria, These are locations that are in very different parts of the world. They are separated by thousands of kilometers. How can we have rivers that go around all these areas? So there was no choice for me. I had to look at the chart of the mountain range that I found and take a good look at maps to see if there was some correspondence between the names we have mentioned here in the Bible. And when I did that, I came to surprising insights. So for instance, we have the Eneri-Sumeri, which is running northward of this mountain range. And that sounds like Sumer, Zumeri, Sumer. But why is Sumer appearing here in Africa? Because Sumer is supposed to be somewhere in Mesopotamia, current Iraq.
Yeah, just because it's named Sumer. I mean, does it have the same entomological, like, talking about insects, no, ontological, or how you say it, origins that we use for Sumeria?
We also have Gomer village close above the Tarso Ahon. Tarso means mountain. So is this the Gomer of the Bible? So what is it doing here? We also have Ausu, a place called Ausu, and that sounds like Abzu from Babylon. Abzu, the abyss.
Sounds like
of Babylon.
Not,
and we find it near Zuar or Zuar.
Sounds like.
And then again, we have the name Zuar.
Origins.
Has this anything to do with the Jewish Zohar? The name of the book Zohar? These are strange names.
Yeah, they're in a language that you don't speak.
Also, I see
don't
the name
understand.
of the Gihon, the river Gihon, somewhere appearing in the village name of
These
Gubon.
people are not naming. These people are not naming their. I mean, these aren't Jewish names, guy.
Sits at the top of a river. Now, Gihon and Gihbon or Gubon are similar sounding, and they are also to the southward of this massif. So for Pison, well, maybe we could guess that the village name or the area name Auzi to the east below the Tarso Emiso could be a candidate. For Perat, we have the Eneri Bardage. Eneri means river, and Bardage can be a lengthening of the word Perat. And this Perat or Perdage, or Perat, I'm making it sound similar, but there might be a hint there in the name, is running northward to Libya. So we have those as a candidate, but they are not very strong ones. And on the map, we also see words like agua, agüe, which means water.
You're just coming up with
water, which leaves, of course, barra, which could be deriving from Perat.
Making up origins for different names.
Or if we contract that is almost the same pronunciation as Gion.
Yeah.
And from the mountain of Gaian or Gion, we see rivers
Buddy,
flowing
I've
downward.
about had enough.
Now, these are only seasonal rivers.
You're not bringing anything to the table.
But he's also sleeping now with his eyes closed. You see a small slit where his eyes are. That could signify that his eyes are closed.
Good grief. We got
and
more.
Notice the very pronounced
mountain
extending
range, mud fossil kind of crap.
nose
All right,
and the
I'm
high
done
brow that
with
he has.
you.
So it becomes.
Yeah. So that was the looking at the Tarso Yiga as a claim for the location of the Garden of Eden. He wants us to help spread information about it. As much as I'm spreading information about it right now, it's about that's the extent that you're going to get from me, because I think this is all silly. His YouTube channel, yeah, I mean, he created a YouTube channel called Discovering the Garden of Eden. There's more videos out there, but you all can go lull if you want. But I'm done with him. I'm going to just see what Ken Ham has to say about the Garden of Eden and its location. Then we're gonna wrap up. This is the king of the creationists, so what he says goes. Passes down the
Where was the
royal
Garden
law.
of Eden located?
Many Christians believe the Garden of Eden was located in the Middle East, where today we see the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. However, that could not be so. In fact, we have no idea where the Garden of Eden was located on this earth. And let me share with you why. In Genesis chapter 2 and verse 10, we read about a river that went out of Eden to water the garden. And then that river was divided into 4 rivers. Now, the names of 2 of those rivers are given as the Tigris and Euphrates. However, when you look at the Tigris and Euphrates today, we don't see 4 rivers coming from one. That means that these could not be the same rivers. Well, why do they have the same names? Well, think about this. When the settlers from England came to Australia, they used names they knew from England in Australia to name cities and rivers.
So see there, Ring, it is there's apologetics for it not being between the Tigris and the Euphrates.
That's why we see the same names today in those two different countries in certain instances. The same is true in America as well. Well, when Noah landed in the Middle East, the Bible says that Noah's Ark landed in the mountains of Ararat, and now that area today known as the Middle East, we do see names such as the Tigris and Euphrates, similar to the names in the pre-flood world, but that doesn't mean they were the same rivers. It just means that Noah or his descendants used some of those same names they were familiar with before the flood to name places after the flood. Now, there's also another important fact to consider, which would also help us understand there is no way we would know where the Garden of Eden was originally located. You see, Noah's flood was a global event. It would have destroyed the earth. We also believe that there was one continent before the flood. We read on the third day of creation that God gathered the waters together into one place. Presumably the land was in one place.
So he's like making a Pangea argument that like it was in the middle of Pangea and had 4 rivers spreading out from it, which actually would make more sense than what this other guy previously was saying. But that Mr. Ham here thinks that there was one supercontinent and then there was the flood and it broke everything up. And like in that year, in the flood year, of course, let's not talk about the logistical problems of that, but the description being of the land with the 4 rivers coming off of it definitely would make sense more of a single continent with 4 rivers going towards the sea in each cardinal direction.
And that land would have been so destroyed by the flood of Noah's day. We believe that that continent split up during the flood to form the continents that we have today. There is no way we would know where the Garden of Eden was originally located. And
so in that model, there'd be pieces of the Garden of Eden everywhere. So everybody can be right. There's a little piece in Chad, there's a little piece in the North Pole, a little piece in Kansas City, because the continent just split up, right?
under that area of the Middle East today, we see thousands of feet of sedimentary deposits, fossil-bearing deposits, flood deposits. Those sediments were deposited by the flood of Noah's day. So there's no way the Garden of Eden could be on top of those fossil-bearing sediments. So where was the Garden of Eden located? We have no idea where the Garden of Eden was located, but we do know that the Garden of Eden definitely existed.
We do not know that the Garden of Eden definitely existed. But I digress. That was Ken Ham on the location of the Garden of Eden, and then we watched somebody who claimed it was in Chad. I did have a couple other things to go over today, but I think that is it for. Yeah, that's going to be it for Creation Watch today. So that is what we have for the Garden of Eden and exploring that. We may revisit the Garden of Eden sometime in the future if more claims come forward or more claims are presented to me regarding the garden and its location. I will revisit this topic. So thank you for watching Creation Watch this Wednesday evening. If you're watching this with me, thank you for popping in. Please remember to be kind and take care. And we will see you next time. All right, and this is for this show. I'm gonna verbally say I'm going to intermission. But since what happened last time when I did intermission, the stream collapsed. I hope that this doesn't have the same problem. But here we go.
Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand."
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just had some anxiety hit me, but we'll deal with it when that we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So this next little segment for our HiveScience news today is going to be a little bit of a rabbit hole, because I fell down a rabbit hole on this one. So this is not what I originally had intended to do today. Because this video, as you can see, released one day ago, right? And I didn't discover it this way. I discovered it when I was doing some research on a completely different topic, and this came up in the feed. It wasn't this video; it was another article, but it was one of those articles where it has like 2 sentences on each page, and you had to click next and click next. And I got like to page 12, and I realized I'd been baited, but I wanted to find out what the alleged species that this was happened to be. Surprise, surprise, it never says. It just says it was an insect. But we will get there in a second. So I'm not going to... actually, let's speed this up all the way and let it play for just a minute. It's about a little girl finding a creature in the forest.
Little girl saves giant creature in forest. When vet sees it, he calls the police. Nobody thought much of it when Jessie entered the vet's office with a giant box. The little girl was probably just bringing her pet to a regular checkup. Jessie walked up to the assistant. She told her that she did not make an appointment, but it was really urgent. When she opened the box, the assistant turned pale. She screamed to the vet and told Jessie not to touch it. What on earth did Jessie bring to the vet? Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell. Let's proceed with the video. Jessie was...
So it's one of those types of videos, right? So you get it. Right now there's going to be like a whole bunch of, like, it's going to lay out a story. Oh, the vet called the police. The police showed up. They told the little girl, they started asking the little girl questions. She said she couldn't answer it until her parents were there, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on and on and on for literally 12 minutes. It's just the whole point of this video is to get past that 10-minute mark, right? To string you along, wanting to know what this creature was that she found in the forest. Let's see here. Yeah. So we're going to jump way ahead to the end because it's stupid. They go to the forest and try to locate the... Yeah.
From a lesson. The person was part of a larger group, and all of the members were arrested for endangering the public safety. County. She had contained the creature before it could spread. Eventually, the police asked what was going on and where the creature was. The doctors told her the whole story. Jessie was completely stunned. She felt horrible that she had made this happen. Then the doctors calmed her down. Jessie had in fact saved the entire county. She had contained the creature before it could spread. Eventually, the police figured out that someone had planted the creature there to teach the government a lesson. The person was part of a larger group, and all of the members were arrested for endangering the public safety. Jessie was called to the president's office when she fully recovered. She still did not believe this was her doing. The president told Jessie he was proud of a girl like her, and that more people should take inspiration from her. She was honored by the president and even got a medal. She grew up to be a strong environmental activist and run her own shelter. She went down in the history books. What did you think of this story? Let me know your thoughts.
So yeah, I don't know. What brought me to this was that I was like, okay, so this, because people in the comments were like, this is total BS, and I agree. It seems like total BS. That image is just it's a model that somebody made. It's not a real creature. Yeah, it's to keep you stringing along. So people were like, I don't know if this is real. I don't. So, easily, I thought it would be easy to investigate, to look into this to see if there's validity, because there can't be too many environmentalist groups that have tried to attack the U.S. government, or any terrorist groups that have tried to attack the U.S. government using insects or little creepy crawlies in order to reap their vengeance. Oh boy, was I not prepared for the rabbit hole that I was about to go down. No, it's not spirit science. It's just some literally viral vids. But yeah. Anyway, that's not even the point. That's just what brought me here, because behold a topic called entomological terrorism, a tactic in asymmetrical warfare. So this has been since yesterday. I've just started dipping my toes in this. I had no idea that this was a real thing that happened. Oh yeah, this is something that's been practiced in the past. This is not a new practice either. Matter of fact, this was an early warfare tactic. If you read into the history of entomological warfare, one of the earliest tactics to draw your enemies out of a, when they got the shelter, when you're in combat with them, when they're holed up in their cave or hut, the idea to drive them out, disorient them, and cause some destruction and pain as well was to throw a beehive or hornet nest into their shelter, into their cave. Boom! Ah, bees, they're everywhere. And then as they come running out, swatting and screaming, shoot them down with arrows, take them down with spears, something from a distance where you don't have to get up into the bees. But as they come running out of their hidey hole, take them down. That's something that's been a known practice for generations, right? For thousands of years. It's pretty easy to accomplish, and it would be effective. So entomological warfare is not a new concept. It's just you thinking outside of the box is really what it comes down to. Now, most entomological warfare throughout history has been done with like crop damage, I guess, agricultural damage. One of the biggest culprits that they used for that is the Colorado potato bug, because they're devastating to crops. They were used during World War II by the Germans, by the French, I guess they shouldn't say they were used. There was never any proof that they were actually released. Actually, the German research into it may have backfired and caused them to get an infestation, because that they later blamed on the Allies. But the Germans cut off a little square of land to do experiments on Colorado potato bugs and how quickly they could devastate the enemy's crops with this form of assault. And they believe that either some of them got loose or that they were introduced through another natural means, but they actually became invasive in Germany right after this. So, I mean, people blamed the Allies and said that they released them, but no, that actually wasn't the case. And the reason that video sounded like Spirit Science was because I sped it up. But the Spirit Science, that's how they get their little character voices too, is they speed up what they're saying. So it's Anyway, so. Yeah, we talked about the bees. Okay, so during the Civil War, they the Confederacy also accused the Union of releasing Harlequin bugs into their croplands, into their plantation lands, but unfounded as well. And it's probably just they came by natural migration. But it gives us a list of potential bugs of war here, bugs of war for agricultural damage. Gives a little breakdown table. Exotic plant pest of great risk has things like cutworms and silvery moths with the larvae are devastating. There's a lot of moths, and the ones that are called worms on here are generally also moths. Just that's what they call the caterpillar form. There's some beetles that make the list, but yeah, there's a lot of organisms. That's why I was talking about the wasp earlier, because killing wasps are the natural predators for a lot of these pest species. So you knocking that wasp nest down on the back of your shed that's not bothering anybody is you making sure that there's nothing around to eat the pests that are going to devastate your garden. So most of this is about agricultural pests on this list. However, there's also a list here of different arthropods transmitting exotic diseases. You got obviously the mosquito takes up a whole portion. Ticks right here. Screw flies, white flies, leaf hoppers, and psyllids. So they carry diseases that can hurt humans, can cause devastation to humans, to our livestock, and to our crops. These vectors, disease vectors, carry those to our crops. Here's a map, of course. Much like humans, a lot of our crops and domestic livestock find their origins in Africa as well. So it's no surprise that the disease vectors would, of course, be evolved to attack humans specifically. And hello, Logan Fisher. Good. Nope, I didn't finish Tier Zoo. That's on Thursday. And I will have better volume now. I've sorted that, I think. Today's stream was pretty good on the volume. So anyway. But, you know, this is probably not what most people are thinking about when they talk about entomological warfare. Disease vectors and crop damage, right? Or disease vectors for cattle and crop damage. And carrying common diseases like yellow fever and things like that. What most people think about when they think about entomological warfare is more like what I said at the beginning with the bees, but on a larger scale, right? Something dropping hornet bombs or something like that. Now, that never happened. That was not a thing that was actually historical. However, the Japanese did take that step. They did use them. They did actually use different organisms for, where are we at? I thought I had an article on it. I guess not. But I still have my notes over here. So the Japanese actually had bombs that would use plague-infested fleas, and not just with things like yellow fever and stuff like that. Plague-infested with like cholera on China. Plague-infested fleas when during World War II. Okay, they also doused houseflies, which is where we got the image in the thumbnail here, was because the danger of this research that they were doing with the biting flies. They would soak them in. Hold on, I had this noted down somewhere. Just a second. Okay, so the fleas. A Japanese Yagi bomb. There we go. Developed in Pinfan. This came from straight out of the wiki, which was sourced to a book called Bug Bomb by Jeffrey Lockwood. There we go. Yeah. And localized and deadly epidemics that resulted in nearly 500,000 Chinese dying from diseases. So that's an effective weapon. And these Yagi bombs had a dispersal for like the airplane would fly over low, spraying these cholera infected fleas on the population. And they had they did it with flies too. I don't know. I thought I had that pulled up here. I guess I did not. But they would they would put the fly larva into. Maybe I'm going to see if I can't find it in the wiki article, because I swear I took notes on it and they're gone. So just a second. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the Japanese Yagi bomb developed in FAM consisted of 2 compartments, one with houseflies and another with a bacterial slurry that coated the houseflies prior to release. The Japanese military dispersed them from low-flying airplanes, spraying the fleas and flies from them and dropping the Yagi bomb filled with the mixture of insects and diseases. Localized and deadly epidemics resulted in nearly 500,000 Chinese died of disease. The International Symposium of Historians declared in 2002 that Japanese entomological warfare in China was responsible for the death of 440,000 people. So this is no joke, right? This is not something you want to look around and find out about. Okay, this is a real threat that people were actually able to do and killed hundreds of thousands of people. I'm not wearing a coat. This is a vest. Yes, for fashion reasons. Yes. I'm dressed in for winter, dressed in for the season. I'm not cold. I mean, I woke up cold. I complained about my thermostat this morning because it drops down to 60 degrees. Somebody had programmed it to drop down to 60 degrees at 6 a.m. every day. I imagine because they went to work at that time and didn't want the heat going while they were gone. But, here we are. So every morning I have to get up and turn the heat back on. And I haven't been able to figure out how to deprogram it. So entomological warfare. This is declassified documents. This is from the Smoking Gun that likes to post declassified documents about different government articles. Now, this one's about attack with yellow fever infected mosquitoes. Right here. And it goes on to delve into other vector attacks as well. We're trying to find the page. There was a nice little graph that it had of the ones that they used. Oh, hold on, is that it? Okay, the prisoners reportedly in chains were, since World War II, several reports have been indicated the Soviet Union had an interest in entomological warfare. There's a section blocked out here, but then we have this quote. The prisoners, reportedly in chains, were placed in an 8-man tent which had a number of plague-infected rats and fleas under wire nets in the floor. Most of the prisoners developed bubonic plague after being bitten by the fleas. Ground squirrels and other rodents were reported to have been used in similar experiments and proved to be efficient intermediary host. The escape of a prisoner infected with bubonic plague started a great epidemic among the Mongols in the summer of 1941. 3,000 to 5,000 Mongols were reported to have died in this epidemic and were disposed of by burning or burying the disinfectants. Ticks were also reported to have been used to transfer tick-borne encephalitis to prisoners. In addition, infected fleas and other insect vectors were dropped from aircrafts and paper containers. Mass production of Aegis aegypti. Operation Big Itch. In 1941, a series of trials was conducted using fleas. It has I don't know why the name's all chopped up like that. An E14 musician, with cardboard and sponge inserts. The insects were dropped from altitudes of 305 to 610 meters over U.S. Army Dungway Praying Ground, Utah, to investigate the suitability of the munition components for dissemination of these arthropod vectors, determine survival and host acquisition ability of the fleas, disseminate from the device. plot carrier patterns produced by E14 munition filled with specific carrier. Okay, so we're getting some freaking wild stuff with the U.S. Army doing some tests here. The fleas were successfully reared to the appropriate stage, then dropped on the target with little to no die-off. After release, the insects were successful in acquiring host, but were not active longer than 24 hours. The sponge carriers were the most widely distributed as indicated by the carrier pattern. No calculation of effects were attempted in this report. Operation Big Buzz. In May 1955, a field test was conducted in Georgia to demonstrate the feasibility of mass-producing, storing, loading into ammunition, and disseminating mosquitoes from aircrafts, and to determine if the mosquitoes would survive the airdrops and take blood meals from humans. More than 1 million unaffected were produced and stored for nearly 2 weeks. About 1/3 of these mosquitoes were placed in E14 munition containing a air comb waffle and something tube. A loop tube. This the text on this is really hard to read in some spots. Operation Dropkick is blocked out. Let's see if that comes up in Wiki or any place else for that matter. Operation Dropkick. Since it's not telling us what was used. Operation Dropkick. Here we go. 1956. To test the practicality of employing mosquitoes to carry entomological warfare. So another mosquito experiment is right what we have for Operation Dropkick. There's the rest of that. Operation Mayday consists of a study. Let's see, Operation Mayday. Operation Mayday. Yeah, more mosquitoes. So this is mostly, looks like we're going to be dealing a lot with mosquitoes. And fleas. So yeah, most of the experiments by the U.S. military were on mosquitoes, fleas, and some on ticks. But mostly fleas and mosquitoes. So yeah, that's entomological warfare for you. What a wild ride that turned out to be. I did not in any way intend for that to be the direction that my evening went yesterday, but lo and behold, we had there was more entomological warfare propaganda posters too, but that one had the right colors for what I was going for my thumbnail, so I used it. Anyway, yeah, so if you have questions or commentary regarding entomological warfare, entomological terrorism, leave it in the comments down below and engage with me. But yeah, this has been live from the Hive. This has been our HiveScience segment on entomological warfare and the history behind it. I hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, until next time, please remember to be kind and take care.